Your father dies suddenly. 3 months later, you sit at your desk, trying to focus on work while everyone around you has moved on with their lives. Your grief is still raw, but you smile when colleagues ask how you are. You complete your tasks. You show up for others. Inside, you are breaking, but no one can see it. Or maybe it is something else. The relationship ends after 10 years. The doctor delivers news you are not ready to hear. The dream you built your whole life around collapses in front of you. And in that moment, every self-help book, every motivational quote, every well-meaning friend tells you the same thing. Stay positive. Everything happens for a reason. You will bounce back stronger. But what if you will not bounce back? What if some losses leave permanent scars? What if the pain does not make you stronger? It just makes you tired. Here is what no one tells you. Sometimes life asks you to carry unbearable weight, not because it will make you better, but simply because there is no other choice. And the question is not whether you will hurt. The question is whether you will let that hurt destroy your dignity. There is a Japanese word for this, Gaman. It means enduring the unbearable with patience and dignity. Not because you are strong, not because you have found meaning in your suffering, but because you understand something most modern people have forgotten. Some pain cannot be fixed. Some losses cannot be recovered. And your humanity is not measured by how quickly you heal, but by how you carry what cannot be healed. Gaman comes from Zen Buddhism. The kanji characters mean literally self and endure, but the full meaning goes deeper than simple endurance. It means bearing what feels unbearable while maintaining your composure and continuing to fulfill your responsibilities to others. It means keeping your private suffering private so it does not become a burden on those around you. In the West, we are taught that emotional honesty means expressing every feeling as it arrives. We are told that suppressing emotions is unhealthy, that we must process our pain openly, that healing requires complete vulnerability. We treat suffering as a problem that must be solved immediately, preferably with professional help, medication, or at minimum a detailed social media post explaining our journey. But here is what the Japanese understood. Not every inner struggle needs to become a public performance. Some dignity is maintained through restraint. Some strength is built through silent endurance. This is not about denial or pretending everything is fine. It is about understanding that you can feel your pain fully in private while still showing up with grace in public. You can honor both your suffering and your duty. Think about what happens when you believe all pain should be eliminated immediately. You suffer from the loss itself. Then you suffer again because you think you should not still be suffering. You feel grief, and then you feel shame for grieving too long. You experience hardship, and then you feel weak for not bouncing back faster. The Japanese call this unnecessary pain. The first suffering is inevitable. The second is created by your resistance to the first. On March 11th, 2011, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck off the coast of Japan. The tsunami that followed reached heights of over 130 feet and traveled up to 6 miles inland. Nearly 16,000 people died. More than 450,000 lost their homes. Entire towns were erased in minutes. The world watched, expecting panic, chaos, looting. After all, this is what happened when Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005. This is what happened after the earthquake in Haiti in 2010. When disaster strikes and authority crumbles, we expect social order to collapse. But it did not happen in Japan. Foreign journalists arriving in the devastated areas found something they could not explain. People waiting in orderly lines for food and water. Survivors sharing what little they had. Communities immediately beginning to rebuild without waiting for government assistance. One reporter asked a man who had lost his home, his business, and his brother how he could remain so calm. The man simply said he was practicing Gaman. He explained that falling apart would not bring his brother back or rebuild his home. So he chose to endure with dignity and be useful to others who needed help. This was not unique to 2011. This pattern has repeated throughout Japanese history whenever disaster strikes. But here is what makes this remarkable. These people were not superhuman. They felt the same pain, the same fear, the same devastating loss as anyone else would. Gaman is not about feeling less. It is about carrying more while still functioning. The samurai lived by Gaman long before it had a name in popular culture. They understood that a warrior might lose everything in an instant. Family, honor, life itself. The question was never whether loss would come. The question was how you would meet it. There is a teaching from the Hag Akure, a samurai text, that captures this perfectly. Matters of great concern should be treated lightly. Matters of small concern should be treated seriously. This sounds backwards until you understand what it means. The things you cannot control, the great catastrophes, the devastating losses. These you must carry lightly because heavy is the only way they can crush you. But the small daily duties, the simple acts of showing up, maintaining your practice, fulfilling your responsibilities, these you treat with utmost seriousness because they are what keep you human when everything else is falling apart. This brings us to the first way of Gaman, silent endurance. You bear what you must without broadcasting your suffering to everyone around you. This is not about hiding or pretending. It is about understanding that not every wound needs to be displayed. A woman named Keiko lost her husband suddenly to a heart attack. She had 2 young children who depended on her. She had aging parents who relied on her support. She had a job she could not afford to lose. Modern advice would tell her to take time off, to process her emotions fully, to put herself first. But Keiko understood something different. Her family needed her to be present and stable. Falling apart was a luxury she could not afford, so she created a structure. Every night after her children were asleep, she would sit in her husband's favorite chair for 1 hour. During that hour, she let herself feel everything. She cried without restraint. She spoke to his photograph. She allowed the full weight of her grief. But when that hour ended, she would wash her face, take 3 deep breaths, and prepare for the next day. During daylight hours, she focused on what needed to be done. She cooked meals for her children. She went to work and fulfilled her responsibilities. She helped her son with his homework and told him stories about his father. She smiled when her daughter showed her drawings. She maintained the household routine that gave her children stability in the chaos. Years later, her daughter asked if it had been difficult to be strong for them. Keiko said, "Being strong was not difficult. Being strong was necessary. And in being necessary, it became possible." This is not suppression. Suppression means pushing feelings down and pretending they do not exist. Gaman means feeling everything fully in its proper place and time, then setting it aside to do what must be done. The difference is crucial. The second way of Gaman is accepting what cannot change. This is perhaps the hardest teaching for the modern mind. We are trained to believe that with enough effort, positive thinking, or the right strategy, we can change anything. We are told never to accept defeat. We are encouraged to fight reality itself. But fighting reality is exhausting. It is like standing in a river trying to push the water backwards. You can spend all your energy on this fight and the water will keep flowing. Or you can accept the direction of the current and use your energy to swim. Miyamoto Musashi was a legendary swordsman who fought over 60 duels and never lost. He wrote in his Book of 5 Rings, "Accept everything just the way it is." People misunderstand this quote. They think it means passive resignation. But Musashi was never passive. He was one of the deadliest warriors who ever lived. When he said accept everything, he meant something specific. Accept reality so completely that you can respond to it effectively. Stop wasting energy wishing things were different, and use that energy to deal with what actually is. When Musashi faced an opponent who was faster than him, he did not deny this reality or feel victimized by it. He accepted it completely and adapted his strategy. When he knew a battle was lost, he did not keep fighting out of pride. He accepted the loss and focused on surviving to fight another day. Acceptance gave him clarity. Clarity gave him power. In your daily life, this principle shows up in small ways. You accept that your body has aged, and you train in ways appropriate to your current capacity rather than injuring yourself trying to match your younger self. You accept that a relationship has ended, and you focus on building a new life rather than endlessly reviewing what went wrong. You accept that you made a serious mistake at work, and you focus on repairing the damage rather than drowning in self-blame. But here's the twist most people miss. Acceptance does not mean you stop trying to change things. It means you stop arguing with what already is. You can accept that you are currently overweight while still working to lose weight. You can accept that your marriage is struggling while still trying to improve it. The difference is in where you put your energy. Fighting what already exists takes all your power. Accepting what exists and then choosing your next move gives you back your power. The third way of Gaman is refusing to let suffering be only destruction. This does not mean finding a silver lining or claiming everything happens for a reason. It means that when hardship arrives, you look for what strength it might build or what truth it might reveal. You do not glorify the suffering. You simply refuse to let it be wasted. A man named Hiroshi survived the 2011 tsunami. He lost his home, his business, and his younger brother in the disaster. In the months after, he could have become bitter. He could have spent his life asking why this happened to him. Instead, he began volunteering at evacuation shelters. He helped elderly survivors who had lost everything. He organized teams to clear debris. He became someone others could rely on. When a reporter asked him how he found the strength to help others when he had lost so much himself, Hiroshi said something unexpected. The tsunami took many things from me, but it also showed me what it could not take. It could not take my ability to be useful. It could not take my choice to show up for my neighbors. It could not take the kind of man I decide to be. I would never choose to repeat that day, but I cannot regret what it revealed about what truly matters. This is the hidden truth about Gaman. It does not ask you to be grateful for your suffering. It asks you to refuse to let suffering be the final word. Every hardship you endure either breaks you or forges you. The choice is partly yours, not in whether you feel pain. You cannot control that, but in what you do with the pain once it arrives. The fourth way of Gaman is maintaining composure under pressure. This means governing your reactions, even when everything inside you wants to scream. Not because screaming is wrong, but because uncontrolled emotion clouds judgment and weakens resolve. The samurai felt fear before battle, just like anyone else. The difference was that they felt the fear fully, acknowledged it in their minds, and then set it aside to focus on what needed to be done. They understood that emotion and action are separate. You can feel terrified and still move forward. You can feel heartbroken and still complete your responsibilities. You can feel overwhelmed and still make the next right decision. This shows up when you receive devastating news in public, and you choose to process it in private, rather than falling apart where others depend on your stability. It appears when you feel rage at an injustice, but you speak calmly, so your words carry weight instead of being dismissed as emotional overreaction. It lives in the moment when you want to quit, but you take 3 slow breaths and continue. But here's what you must understand about Gaman. It has limits. And knowing those limits is as important as practicing the principle itself. Gaman is not about enduring abuse. It is not about staying in situations that are destroying you. It is not about suffering in silence when speaking up could prevent harm to yourself or others. Modern Japan is learning this lesson. Younger generations are questioning whether Gaman should require sacrificing mental health and personal boundaries. They are right to question this. True Gaman is about bearing unavoidable hardship with dignity. It is not about creating hardship by staying where you should not stay or enduring what should not be endured. There is a difference between a widow maintaining composure for her children and a woman staying silent about mistreatment. There is a difference between accepting that your parent has died and accepting that someone is harming you. Wisdom is knowing which is which. The way of Gaman is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about becoming strong enough to carry what you must while remaining kind to others and yourself. It is about understanding that your worth is not measured by how quickly you heal or how completely you overcome. Sometimes your greatest strength is simply enduring with dignity while everything in you wants to break. The world will tell you that healing should be fast, that pain should be processed immediately, that suffering always has a lesson. But some losses take years to carry. Some pain never fully goes away. Some suffering just is. And that is okay. You are not broken because you are still hurting. You are human. Here is how you can begin practicing Gaman in your own life. 1. When hardship arrives, give yourself permission to feel it fully in private. Choose a specific time and place for your grief, your fear, your anger. Let yourself experience it without judgment. Then when that time ends, wash your face, take a deep breath, and return to what needs to be done. 2. Look at your current situation and identify one thing you cannot change. Maybe it is a loss that already happened. Maybe it is a circumstance you did not choose. Stop arguing with this reality in your mind. Accept it completely, not because you like it, but because arguing with what already exists only exhausts you. 3. When you face difficulty, ask yourself what this experience might teach you, or how it might reveal your strength. You are not looking for reasons to be grateful for suffering. You are looking for ways to prevent the suffering from being wasted. 4. Develop a daily practice of bearing small discomforts without complaint. Take a cold shower in the morning. Sit in meditation when your body wants to move. Complete a task you have been avoiding. These small acts of endurance build your capacity for larger ones. 5. Remember that Gaman has limits. It is for bearing unavoidable hardship, not for enduring mistreatment or staying in harmful situations. Learn to distinguish between pain that makes you stronger and pain that destroys you. Your pain is real. Your struggle matters. Gaman does not ask you to pretend otherwise. It asks you to carry your burden with grace, to maintain your dignity, even in darkness, and to trust that endurance itself is a form of victory. Some losses will never stop hurting, but you can learn to carry them without being crushed. That is not weakness. That is the deepest form of strength. If you are ready to endure life's hardest moments with dignity and grace, write in the comments, "I will practice Gaman." Thank you for being here and for choosing to walk this path with honor.